Welcome to the Doghouse Podcast. We're back. Got a great new guest. I know we had his brother on, Nathan Allen from the Hill Brothers. How we doing today?
What's up, buddy?
Yeah, man. Appreciate you coming on again.
No problem. I appreciate you having me, man. It's not very often I get to come hang out in the SEC country. That's pretty. This should be pretty entertaining.
Hey, we're diverse here. We don't discriminate at all on Doghouse
I
Podcast.
appreciate that.
Appreciate you having
I
on.
really appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll jump right into it. Big news of the week. University of North Carolina gets a new coach, college basketball. I know you guys are the OG blue blood. I'm here in Charlotte, North Carolina, so it's always UNC, Duke, ACC basketball. But
That's
Michael
right.
Malone, what he's going by, replaces Hubert Davis. First off, I wanted to ask, did you agree with Hubert Davis getting let go recently? Wanted to ask that.
Yeah. That's a tough one. I think it was time for Hubert Davis to go. Me personally, the fan base is probably split. I'm not sure. But me personally, I thought it was time. You when Hubert was hired, you hope he has success, and just because of his ties to the university, he played for Dean Smith. He was an assistant under Roy Williams. He coached the JV team, and then when Coach Williams decided to retire, he was pretty much handpicked for the job. Some downsides to that. Some people said Wes Miller, had more coaching experience, as in head coaching experience. But Coach Williams chose Coach Davis, and Coach Davis, jumped headlong into the game, and so his 5-year tenure. I mean, yeah, the first year that he was head coach, they went to the championship game, had a 15-point lead at halftime, lost it. Retired Coach K, beat him in his Coach K's last home game, beat Coach K in the Final Four. So he retired him twice. So he done things that no coach is ever going to be able to do. So in the future he's going to be he's going oh God, dog. He's going to be I think in the future he'll be revered as one of the a good coach for North Carolina. But right now it's kind of the tensions are kind of up because North Carolina hasn't lived up to the standards that North Carolina has set.
No problem. Sorry, did we lose you? Go ahead.
No, I'm still here. No, I'm still here.
Yeah, we had you on mute. Okay, yeah. I wanted to seem like Hubert Davis, good technical X's and O's guy. I think he was lacking on the recruiting from the little that I followed, and then 2 early outs in the NCAA tournament, and I think losing that 19-point lead against VCU. Is that what it was? I think that was kind of the dagger. Is that what you?
Yeah. Yeah, they had, that's back to back. Last year they was in the play-in. They had to go to Dayton. They won in Dayton,
Right.
and then lost in the actual first round of the tournament last season. They come into this season, they barely, they make it into the tournament. VCU, they get up 19. 4 minutes to go, they just blow it. I mean, they just absolutely blow it. And if you listen to a lot of the beat writers, 24/7. Andrew Jones, Jacob Turner. Andrew Jones said he was sitting 8 feet from Coach Davis during that big run that VCU had in the last 4 minutes of the game, and he said it honestly looked like Coach Davis just froze, like he didn't have an answer in that game. North Carolina was trying to get it in bounds with less than a minute to go. They was up 2, I think, at that point. Had a 5-second call. A 5-second inbound call, had a timeout they could have burned, but Coach Davis didn't burn it. So turned the ball over, gave it to VCU. VCU took it down, hit a layup, tied the game. It had ended up going into overtime. So, Coach Davis, if you ever listen to him talk, he has extreme respect for the program, the people that came before him. Everything that was UNC, Coach Davis, it was just he was North Carolina. So sitting on that seat, the buck stops with you, and you hear all the beat writers talk about, well, who who can they bring in that can sit on that seat and not be overwhelmed by the pressure that comes along with sitting in that seat. And I think honestly, I think at the end of the day, towards the end of his tenure, the pressure just started to mount. North Carolina was a 1 seed for one season in the NCAA tournament under Coach Davis, and their next highest seed was a 6. I mean, that's your next highest seed being a 6. I mean, that's just unheard of when it comes to North Carolina basketball. North Carolina basketball is a perennial powerhouse that's used to playing for national championships, and making it to the second weekend, Sweet 16, Elite 8 is almost an afterthought. North Carolina is typically the Elite 8 Final Four type team, and honestly, the past 7 years they just hadn't been able to do it. And university, kudos to them for being able to make a change, because if you looked at Hubert Davis, he did not want to leave. He wanted to stay. So they gave him the option to sell off into the sunset, but he wouldn't take it. So they had to let him go.
Yeah. You one last question. Do you think it was one of those that was big shoes to fill after Roy? Because Roy, great coach, legendary coach, 3 national titles at UNC. Is that right?
Yeah,
shoes to fill.
It's got to be huge shoes to fill. I mean, you played for Dean Smith, you coached under Roy Williams, then Roy Williams basically hands you the keys to the Ferrari and says, "Here you go, buddy. It's yours now." So, and North Carolina's not an easy place to play for to begin with. There was people saying fire Coach Davis halfway through the first season. Because if you look back on his first season, it didn't go well. It's not like they were contenders all season. They just got hot in the last month of the year, squeaked into the NCAA tournament, and then just caught absolute fire and ended up in the national championship game. And barring a twisted ankle by Armando Bacot, we might be looking at a national championship, and then who knows what, fast forward 4 more years after that, who knows what North Carolina's looking at. But, you got what you got now. But I think the stress of the job and, the pressure and the stress that he was under, especially at the end of this year with, how the following season, how his 5-year tenure had went with North Carolina, I think it just got to him. And, just for the respect and that he has for the program, and like I said, the people that come before him, it's just too much.
Right. Yeah, really tough shoes to fill. So UNC, as of yesterday, names Michael Malone, 24-year veteran, won the NBA championship in 2023. Great record with the Denver Nuggets. I think last 10 years.
Yeah.
First off, what's your thoughts on it? And also, who is the guy who was your pick looking back on it from all the rumors and everything? And who did you want to fill the shoes for Hubert Davis?
My pick was Tommy Lloyd. Everything that I heard, it was Tommy Lloyd, Dusty May.
Tommy Lloyd's the University of Arizona coach, correct?
Arizona, Michigan.
Gotcha.
And Billy Donovan is the head coach of the Chicago Bulls.
Right.
I'd watched Arizona. Koa Pete was a freshman for Arizona. He was North Carolina was heavily involved in his recruitment, tried to get Koa Pete to come to North Carolina. Didn't work out. He was an Arizona guy, ends up with Tommy Lloyd, Arizona. You saw what he did, and it come down nitty gritty. Tommy Lloyd, everybody was saying, "Oh, Tommy Lloyd's coming to UNC. Him and the athletic director at Arizona don't get along." Blah 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 blah. So 2 weeks before, a week and a half ago, maybe before the Final Four, Tommy Lloyd comes out and says, "Hey," or the news comes out, Tommy Lloyd has signed an extension with Arizona. I think it was $7.2 million, and that he no longer had to answer to the athletic director at Arizona, that he would report directly to the president. So, that's a win-win for him. And So when there was no Tommy Lloyd, I was like, ooh, me personally, I was like, ooh, that's it's I was kind of worried because you got Dusty May, but I mean Dusty May, but the whole time some people say, oh yeah, he's a real candidate. Some people say, no, they're just you gotta make him say no. But nobody, there's a lot of people that didn't believe that Dusty May was going to leave Michigan, and he put those rumors to bed that he was considering the UNC job sometime before the national championship game, and he come out and said, I'm not interested in coaching in another college city, and so that wiped that one off, and then everybody's like, you're as a collective North Carolina fan, you're like sitting here holding all these pieces, you're looking at them like, well, what do we do now? Like you got Billy Donovan, but Billy Donovan has done said that, maybe he'll consider the job, but he's committed to the Bulls and he's not going to leave the Bulls until the end of the season. And that's not until April 12th or 13th. And we all know the portal opened on April 7th. So that would put North Carolina a week behind in the portal. And I just don't think that was feasible for North Carolina. And then yesterday, April 6th, news comes out that North Carolina had come to terms with Michael Malone to become the new head coach of UNC. He was an analyst for ESPN at the time, so no buyouts, none of that. And you look, so as soon as that come out, everybody's all in the frenzy, and most people's like, oh, that's a terrible hire, this, that, and the other. But then you really start reading, and then people's like, well, he's one of the best coaches when it comes, to the X's and O's.
Well,
he's really
always I always like reaction. So when you read ESPN when he confirmed, what was your first initial thought? Were you like, what, who, or I'm just wondering?
Michael Malone. No, I wasn't like what who. I knew who Michael Malone was. His name had floated out there. His daughter plays volleyball at the University of North Carolina. Okay. Nobody was actually aware that he was like an actual candidate, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. But then, so when they was hired, I was like, oh, that's good. I was like, I mean, I keep up with NBA pretty heavily. He was an assistant coach for Cleveland. He coached LeBron. He's coached some All-Star games. So, he's coached Steffi. You got Jamal Murray. You got Jokic. Just won a championship in 2023. So, he has the ability to win. I guess I was just questioning whether he had the ability to come down to the college level and coach. But I guess when you start thinking about it, like, or how's he going to recruit? Well, today's college game is more transactional now than it ever was. It's not about making, walking into somebody's house and be like, hey, I need you to come here for 4 years. It's more about, look, I coached in the NBA. I can get you to the NBA. Just come play for me, And, and if the money's right, obviously the player's going to come. I mean, like I said, the NIL and college athletics is more transactional now than it ever was. So it's everything college based is like the diet professional sports. Athletes are getting paid to play in college, and then and then they go to the pros, and then they're paid there as well. So it's the more I see it, I think me personally, I think it's a pretty great hire. Danny Green has come out and said he's a wonderful coach. There's tons of others. Kenny Smith said he's a wonderful person, wonderful coach. And then these things are brought up. Well, Mike Malone is known for being fiery and hot-headed, and, he'll get into his players. How's that going to translate? Again, in the era of the transfer portal, if you come in and you can't take the tough coaching, well, that's what the transfer portal's for. You're going to play that year, and if you don't give full effort with Coach Malone, then you're probably not going to get to play anyway. I mean, you've seen what he's done with Nikola Jokic. You've seen what he's done with Jamal Murray. You've seen how he can get his teams to win, and that should me if I was a college prospect. Me personally, I think I would like to go there because, I mean, not many have done what what he has done.
Mhm.
So initially I was like, well, I don't know how this is going to translate, but the more I read, the more I learn. I think it's a good hire. And come to find out, as soon as Hubert Davis was hired, Mike Malone was the first person they called. That's what they said at the press conference. He was the first person they called, and he initially was like, "Nah, I don't think I want to do this. I don't think I want to do this." But then he he would say every time he got off the phone, he'd be like, "Oh, I kind of he regretted telling you know the coaching the search committee no because he kind of wanted to." And a little backstory: he was after he was fired by the Nuggets, and before when he was with ESPN, he was actually at the practices in October 25 before the season got started. He came in toward the facility because his daughter plays. Obviously, he was there with his daughter while she was going through the volleyball season, and he stopped in and got a tour of the facilities. Coach Davis let him come to practice, watch practice, give some talk, and so I mean, it's a full circle moment, I guess.
That's good. Yeah. Originally, I had I got some diehard UNC buddies I'm on a text message chat with, and at first we didn't love it, we don't hate it, and I think they're kind of reading more and more into it. So, if you had to give it a grade, A through F, what would you give the coaching hire for Michael Malone?
The coach, that's hard. If we could have this conversation 10 months from now,
Right.
maybe even a month from now, to see who he fills out his staff with, to see North Carolina has a ton of its players in the portal. Our starting point guard, Derek Dixon, the former starting point guard, Kyan Evans, Henry Vasar, the starting center, is in. Big time players for UNC are in the portal. Jaden Young, Jonathan Powell, they're all in the portal, and these are all players that contributed to the UNC season this year. But I think most of them said that they're entering the portal, leaving the ability to come back to North Carolina. With the uncertainty of the coach, what the new coach is wanting. So I'll say it's not a splash hire. I don't think anybody was going to be. You're not going to make anybody happy. I mean, everybody was on the Tommy Lloyd train, but Tommy Lloyd got blew out in the Final Four by Michigan. Would people have been happy with Dusty May? I'm not sure they'd have been happy with Dusty May because he's done it one time. Michigan wasn't that great last year. They was good this year, but every single one of their starters were all transfers.
Yeah, transfer portal, yeah. It's old man's game.
So, I mean, you don't know what Dusty May did at Michigan this year is something that he could sustain at North Carolina for the next 5. And they signed Michael Malone to $8.3 million for 6 years, which I was surprised it was 6 years, to be honest. I'll give it a B plus. I'll give it a B plus.
Okay.
I guess we'll see how it goes. I mean, it could. I mean, I don't think North Carolina. If Coach Malone hasn't gotten this program on this year, it has some buffer, we'll say.
Okay.
But so not next season, not the season coming up, but the following season, so 27, 28, 28, 29, the 28, 29 season. Right? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
No, that'd be 26, 27, the 27, 28 season. That's the year that, we got to see what Coach Malone is going to bring. The standards have to be met, and if it's losing in the first round, losing in the round of 32, back-to-back seasons where, you're subpar, then that third season comes around. If you're subpar again, there's a strong possibility that UNC's cutting ties there because North Carolina is no longer in that quote unquote Carolina family. They don't have to worry about hurting somebody's feelings that had formerly played in North Carolina or coached under a coach of North Carolina. There is no more Carolina family coaching tree, which is a good thing. In my opinion, I thought it was well past time to get outside the family tree. So, but this honestly, I mean, it's got to work. It's got to work for UNC because North Carolina is known for its basketball. It's been 10 years since North Carolina's won a national championship. And it's been longer than that for Duke, but at the same time, Duke's winning 30-something games a year and, is constantly getting like top 5 recruiting classes, making it to the 2 straight Final Fours, lost in the Elite Eight 3 seasons ago. I mean, they're right there. They're knocking on the door. And you've lost 4 of your last 5 to them, and that's just not North Carolina basketball, and none of the North Carolina fans are pleased about it.
All right, so you're excited about the hire. That's good. B plus.
Yeah.
Like, to be continued, but we'll say good hire for now.
Good hire for now, to be continued.
There you go.
Kind of like the football side.
There you go. All right, talk a little Georgia football here. Gotta mention it. So G-Day is coming up. The rumor is hopefully it's going to be Saturday, April 18th, 1 p.m. It's going to first off be Georgia Sports Radio Network, which is good. You can listen to it, unlike last year. And also the rumor is ESPN Plus. So you can be able to stream it, hopefully. That's what we've been hearing. A lot better than last year. A lot of things changed recently in a good way is there's only one transfer portal. So no transfer portal second window this time, which is a good thing. But Georgia, I think everybody's excited to see Gunner, even though he's been spotted in a knee brace sleeve recently. So we'll see. Also, it's going to be Ryan Puglisi versus Ryan Montgomery, none of the upcoming. So they'll be able to air it out a little bit. Might see a little bit of Gunner. Going to see all the running backs. I'm excited to see the wide receivers, but it'll be a controlled scrimmage, so it'll be good. Hopefully no injuries. I don't think any terrible injuries because Georgia, man, they practice hard. So we'll see on that. Over to you, Alan. Wanted to ask Bill Belichick, 4-8, disappointing first season, spring practice, spring game coming up. Wanted to ask the question, is this going to be smoking hot seat for this year? Also wanted to ask, who's a quarterback or how's QB1 looking coming into the spring?
Oh, man, I tell you what, last season was, I don't even know what to call last season, if we're being honest. I mean, 4-8. So you come in and say that, this is going to be the 33rd or the 31st, or however many daggum NFL pro teams there are. And you say you're going to be, you're going to be the 33rd. You're going to be the 33rd, whatever you call it. You're going to be the 33rd NFL team. Okay. That's great. I'm happy for you. Then the product you put, so you come out against TCU at home. The place is absolutely on fire, right? Okay. You go down the field, you score a touchdown, you come off, you get like a 4-and-out, and then Kenan Stadium is absolutely on fire. Everybody is like, "Oh my God, we're winning the national championship," and then you do nothing the rest of the game. Your starting quarterback, Gio Lopez, he goes down, when the game's well out of hand. Backup comes in, looks like he's an all-pro, and then immediately coming out of week 1, you're like, do we even have the right quarterback? And then it just progresses, and it was and you knew it was. It was a media firestorm. So then there was things with his girlfriend, this, that, and the other. And I mean, there was a point in the time in the season where we wasn't even sure that he was going to have a job, halfway through the season.
Mhm.
Um, so man, I don't know what to expect this season. There could be market, like you can improve the football team as a whole, right? You could be better fundamentally. You could be more sound defensively, and you could still have the same record as last season, just because the the schedule is so much more difficult this season than it was last season. And quarterbacks. You was asking about quarterbacks. You got Travis Burgess. Okay, he was a top prospect last season in high school. One of the best quarterbacks in the country. Had a season-ending knee injury in the one of the first or second round of the his state playoffs. So that was going to be the guy coming in. You thought Travis Burgess, he was highly touted, one of the highest rated QBs coming out of high school, and that's saying something when you had Drake May, Sam Howell. You had those two guys, and he was ranked higher than them coming out of high school. So you had a real prospect coming, one that could probably come in and make an impact, especially after the debacle you had last season with Lopez. He goes down. They bring in Billy Edwards Jr. Out of Wisconsin. Ator Newkirk, he was on the team. He was down. He was buried on the depth chart. And then you got DJ Mazzoni and Andres. I can't. We're not even going to try his last name. Then Miles O'Neill. We got him. Him from Tech. You got him out of Texas A&M. So I mean, it's going to be another legitimate, QB battle. I'm not sure how healthy Travis will be in the spring. So Lopez Gio, as last year, he wasn't even on the roster for spring practice, so he didn't even get in until fall camp. So you had that whole thing. So you don't know if Burgess is going to be a full go for spring, or if they're going to have to lay off with the knee injury and wait till later for fall practice. So that's another wait and see. And you got 40 freshmen. So Belichick's whole thing was, I got hired late, I got signed on late. We really never had a chance to hit the transfer portal the way we wanted to. And so this recruiting class is 40 strong, right? So we got 40 freshmen. And, he said this is the baseline. We took 40 freshmen to make up for a lack of a recruiting class last year. So these freshmen are technically, last year seemingly was a throwaway, I guess you could say. And this year is the foundation of which he wants to build. So, I mean, we'll see. But man, it's not a favorable schedule for 40 freshmen and a handful of transfers. I'll go through it real quick, but again, you play TCU in Ireland this time. Then you get East Tennessee State. Then you're at Clemson. That's not going to be a picnic. Notre Dame comes to town. You go to Pittsburgh. You go to Duke. Syracuse comes to town. Miami comes to town. National runner-up Miami. We'll see what they got this year. You go to UConn, who just beat you like a drum in a bowl game 2 years ago. You go to Virginia, where North Carolina typically never wins. And then, you finish up with NC State at home, and you haven't beat them in the past 5 years?
Wow.
4 years? You haven't. So, man, it's tough. And,
So what
You know,
what
after
what would be a successful season for you think, or what would make him stay, or do you think this is going to be just there was a bad hire and call it a day and regroup?
if
What do you think?
if let's see, because we did a way too early prediction.
Right.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, a successful season in my mind with this schedule is probably not knowing what they have. I mean, honestly, you don't know. You don't really know what they have. I mean, they got 40 freshmen. You lost 3 of your top tacklers. I mean, probably a successful season might be 6-6 with this team,
Mm.
and that's not what you hired Bill Belichick for,
Yeah.
and that's not what Bill Belichick said he was bringing to North Carolina when he was hired. So, I mean, does 6-6 with this schedule buy Belichick another year? I got no clue. But if it's less, if he loses more than 6 games this season, I don't know if the fan base is going to want to see him for another season, seeing how last season turned out to be 4-8, and you lost every game to your in-state rival. You lost to Duke. You lost to State. You lost to Wake. It's it's a real show over there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. All right, man. Sorry that didn't sound too good. This might be a smoking hot seat season for Bill Belichick. We'll see. Hopefully, it'll get a little better for you. And I don't know, man. Sounds like it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, it's a tough schedule. The schedule did him no favors this year.
Right. Yeah, man. Well, at least you're excited on the coaching hire for basketball, but we'll see on
There's a running joke. Well, it's always basketball season. It's always a running joke. But
throw the basketballs out, I guess, as they say.
yeah, that's it. Just roll them out there.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on again, Alan. And how do we follow you on social media? The Hill Brothers.
Yep. Hill Brothers, at Hill Brothers on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at Hill Brothers on Instagram. I think my brother made a Hill Brothers TikTok account. If it is, it's not getting used because I don't use it. So Instagram at Hill Brothers on YouTube. Yeah, come give us a follow. Or in the middle of a baseball season where the Diamond Hills are ranked 6. So
nice, man. Guys rolling in baseball. That's awesome.
Yeah,
check them out. Hill Brothers on all the platforms. Over 3,000 on YouTube, which is impressive.
Yeah, we really put in the work.
Yeah, man. Well, appreciate you coming on again, and check out the Hills and all those platforms. Check them out in baseball, and be interested to see on the basketball transfer portal for the
Can't
UNC
wait.
Hills. We'll see. Yeah, appreciate you coming on. Make sure to like, subscribe, share the Doghouse podcast. Got some good content coming up. G-Day preview coming up next week. Hopefully, Seth Saunders, old friend from the show, preferred walk-on. Hope everybody's a great night. Go Dogs.